Hey there, welcome to the draft analysis for the Tapu Koko Puffs for Season 4 of the NPA. Draft just ended, we got a fire squad. I'm excited to just be a part of it. For those of you guys that don't know, I'll give you a quick background on me. Because I am a new coach, but I've been around League format for a little while. I play a lot of VGC. I've been competing in the VGC, or the Video Game Championships for Pokemon, for the last 3 years now. I've had a lot of top 16 finishes. I'm really good at getting on the bubble for Top Cut. My resistance is never quite there, unfortunately. But I've also been around draft format for a while now. I was an analyst for the GBA for a couple seasons. I talk about draft format on my podcast Kanto, which is also getting a special dose of NPA coverage every other week during the regular season and then the playoffs, I believe. And on top of that, I even co-commentated the draft one season for the NPA. So I've been around a while. I've played in draft format as well. I've been a part of the CIL, which is a much smaller draft league. Primarily comprised of people from the KantoCast community. It was started by my friend Kevin, and that was a great place to gain experience. And now here we are in the big time. We're in the big show. We're in the NPA, and it's terrifying. But at least we have a decent squad, which I'm pretty pleased about. Tapu Bulu, first off and foremost, was my first overall pick, hands down. Had to go with Bulu. Lord Bulu himself. How do you switch into a Bulu? Like, you gotta have a dedicated Bulu switch in when your opponent has a Tapu Bulu. I'm pretty comfortable with Tapu Bulu. I've used him a lot in VGC. He's one of those. He's one of those relatively common sense Pokemon, right? You wood hammer stuff. He's good for terrain control because he is, I believe, the slowest of the Tapu. Coming in at 75 base speed. I think Feeney is 80 or 85. So definitely good for terrain control if our opponent has another Tapu that wants to get that boost. But a base 130 attack hits like a truck, man, especially in terrain. So we have options like Wood Hammer, we've got Superpower, we've got Stone Edge. We can bulk up, we can do fun things with sets, but primarily Bulu is just here to hit real hard. And that's what he does best, and that's what Lord Bulu is going to do this season for us, I think. Overall, I don't know that Bulu is a Pokemon that I'm going to bring all the time, but it's definitely very versatile, and mainly I wanted it before somebody else got it. So I went for Bulu. We were pick number 23, I think. So we were like real close to the wheel at the end. So what I tried to do was drafting cores, right? And so we have next up here. Let's pop on over here to Nihilego. Nihilego is another Pokemon I'm pretty familiar with. And you guys might be thinking, oh, Blue definitely plays VGC. Look at this team. It's not unheard of. It's Nihilego and Bulu are both pretty, I won't say super common, but they do have a presence in the VGC metagame, especially right now. Nihilego is in a nice little speed tier there at 103. It's actually got really good special defense, 131 base SpDef. It's kind of like a mirror to Kartana. Kartana's got pretty decent physical attack, but its SpDef is absolutely terrible. Same with Nihilego. It's base 47 defense, so not great. Hey, it is what it is. Poison and Rock is not really good defensive typing, but Nihilego's not here to be specially defensive, right? Nihilego's here to get beast boosts, sweep late games. We've got stuff like Power Gem. We've got stuff like Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave, all that good stuff. So Nihilego can definitely do a lot. It's very versatile. Not necessarily in the item that it's going to carry. I feel like Nihilego only has a couple good item options that really benefit it well. But in terms of tech, like teching on like a hidden power, for example, Nihilego makes really, really good use of that. And of course, you know, with Tapu Bulu on one side, we've got Nihilego, who's going to hit stuff with rock, who's going to hit stuff with poison. Bulu likes to hit things with mainly Zen Headbutt, Wood Hammer, or Superpower. Which I believe he also gets Smart Strike too. So I mean, we've got a little bit of diversity there, but it hits stuff a little diversity as well. Nihilego is a really good, specially offensive geared Pokemon, which is kind of why I wanted to partner it with Bulu there. Not to mention, grassy terrain kind of helps with the earthquake situations. Not that Nihilego really wants to live in earthquake, but with grassy terrain, at least we can maybe calc it so that it can maybe live one. I don't know, probably not, but hey, that's all right. Darmanitan's coming in next. We got my main man Darm. Darmanitan's a Pokemon that I've used in League format a lot. At least I want to say 3 seasons of the 4 for the for the CIL. Darmanitan's really good, man. He's got that sheer force, so he makes a really good use of Flare Blitz. If you pack on a Life Orb with him, it does even more. But Darm's in a really good position where scarfing him is pretty functional for the most part. 95 is not a bad base speed. Again, you know, with League format, it all depends on what team your opponent has and how you can kind of counter that. So, I mean, 95 is a pretty decent speed tier. 140 base attack. Bulu doesn't even have that. So, I mean, this is definitely going to be an interesting time. If you guys have not seen Darmanitan put in work on a team before, you're definitely going to enjoy it, seeing it this season on our team for sure. Flare Blitz, Zen Headbutt, I think he gets. We got some Rock Slide stuff. We got Earthquake. I might even get weird and go Zen Mode Darmanitan, because why the heck not? It could be interesting. But as you can see, like, he's pretty much a glass cannon, right? He's got 105 base HP, but a 55 for his defenses is not what you want to be doing. However, you know, like I said, that base 95 speed is solid, and that attack is ridiculous. So he's a really good wall breaker. And I mean, he's got pivot potential with stuff like U-turn as well. So I really look forward to using Darmanitan again. I'm very comfortable with him, and he's more often than not, he's pretty useful on most team builds, I would say. The next mon that we're going to take a look at is Vikavolt. Oh my goodness. I used Vikavolt before it was cool in VGC. Early 2017 meta, I was using Vikavolt. And then once the Pokemon Bank got released, we instantly had the option of using stuff like Electro Web, and that was really cool. Vikavolt is a truck, dude. A truck. 145 base special attack. That is insane. Its speed is a little bit slower, so a benefit to this, because I feel like a lot of people see Vikavolt's speed and they're like, eh. Its bulk is kind of okay. It can be built a little bit bulky. That attack is solid, but ultimately that speed is really underwhelming, right? The nice thing about Vikavolt, even in VGC, to be perfectly honest, but especially in a singles format, is you get a nice slow volt switch off. And that is, pivoting is something I'm really, really fond of, just in any sort of format that I'm playing. I love to switch and punish switches and get myself into a good position that way. That's one of my stronger points as a player is calling those switches like that. So Vikavolt serves a very, very poignant function in that he's good for pivoting, he's good for getting off big damage. And not to mention, he's pretty useful. Special offense bug typing should not be taken lightly. It's especially with all the scary things out there right now. We can hit stuff like Kartanas. We can hit psychic types effectively. It does a lot. It will do a lot, and he's got a good move pool too. He's got stuff like Flash Cannon. We can Bug Bite if we want to get real techie and, like, you know, maybe take away somebody's Pinch Berry or something weird like that. Vikavolt's got some options, and I'm really glad that we did manage to pick it up. Vikavolt was in my top 3 for electric choices, And I wanted to have some kind of volt switching opportunity, and this was definitely top tier pick for me. So I'm very happy with Vikavolt. The next mon we're going to take a look at is Hitmonchan. So this was another tier 4, I believe it was, for us. Hitmonchan was kind of a later pick. I don't know, man. I needed some fighting offense. Hitmonchan gets Iron Fist with all the punches, and it has Rapid Spin. The other thing that I felt like the team was kind of lacking at that point in the build, and I think you can kind of see it overall down below, we didn't have a whole lot of priority, and so I like being able to have at least a little bit of something. Hitmonchan filled a lot of different roles, and it just felt like a decent get. Base 110 special defense, kind of a weird speed tier at 76. 105 attack isn't bad, but again, it's not gonna be the bulkiest of things. 79 defense is not great. That HP is pretty bleh. But again, like I said, it filled a lot of roles that I needed, and with Counter Team, with Draft League, you have the opportunity to really customize your builds, which is something I kind of obsess over. So I feel like Hitmonchan, even though it doesn't look that impressive, it does fill a lot of roles that I needed it to fill at that time, and based on what was left, it checked every box. So we went with Hitmonchan. I'm not upset. I would have maybe liked a little better offense in terms of a fighting type, but you know, hazard removal, priority. What are you gonna do? You know, what are you gonna do? It hit everything we needed to at the time, and that's where we're at. Hitmonchan, I feel like I don't have a lot of experience with, but we'll see where it goes. You know, Murkrow. Oh man, so for like, you guys won't know this, but for about the last 3 picks that I had, I was trying to nail down a good dark type mon, and every time I checked like what was left, I was like, oh, okay, I'll take this, but that was taken, so I was like, oh no, okay, well I have to rethink. So we had to do a lot of on the fly picking, and ultimately I settled on Murkrow. Murkrow's kind of an interesting mon. It has a lot of tech potential, I'll say, but beyond that, which I think is even better, Murkrow has stuff like Prankster, and it can do a lot of different things. We have defog, so we have priority hazard removal. We have priority spirit control with Tailwind. There's some cool things that we can do. We have taunt. We have all kinds of cool stuff that we can do with Murkrow. I don't know how frequently we'll bring it, but the option is there, and it's an Eviolite user, so I'm pretty happy with that, I guess, for the most part. I've had a little bit of experience using Murkrow in VGC, never really in a singles type format, like a Little Cup or anything like that. So I'm interested to see what we can maybe pull off with Murkrow. That's all I got, man. I wanted a dark type, and this was it. This was my get. Our Mega is Pidgeot, one of my favorite, most underrated Mega Pokemon of all time, dude. Mega Pidgeot is so darn cool. It comes in with a base 121 speed and a base 135 special attack, which is bonkers. It's pretty well balanced, as you can see, like 80s for defenses and then 83 for HP. Mega Pidgeot's probably not there to take many hits, but I mean, it does look like it has some decent bulk potential. But again, you're gonna have to sacrifice a lot of investment in your speed and offense, and I just don't think that's where that happens. That's not what we're here to do, man. Mega Pidgeot has always accurate Hurricanes, which is fantastic. Super thrilled about that. Its ability is No Guard, if you didn't know. I'm really excited to use Mega Pidgeot, man. I needed something that was faster. As you guys can see so far, like the fastest thing we had was Nihilego, clocking in at 103. And we needed something just a little bit faster. And Mega Pidgeot definitely helped fill that gap. I didn't want to spend extra points on a Mega. I didn't want to do that. And And I mean, honestly, if you're not drafting with at least 2 birds, then you're not drafting correctly. No. I like birds. I like bird Pokemons, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited about Mega Pidgeot. I mean, we got a little bit of hazard removal with Defog. We can U-turn. We can Whirlwind if we really are feeling edgy. There's a lot we can do with Mega Pidgeot aside from just spamming bird attacks constantly. So I'm looking forward to using Mega Pidgeot. I'm really excited about this one. That was one of the megas I was excited to potentially pick up, and we ended up getting it, so I was really happy. Next up, we have Cresselia. Cresselia is a monster. I've not used it in VGC. I've seen it used in VGC. I'm a very anti-meta player, so anything that's in meta currently, I don't really use. But when I saw that Cresselia was still available, this was our first our first bot pick, if you will. We had to spend some coin on this one, and it was totally worth it. As you can see, not really especially or physically offensive. Base 85 speed is kind of funky, but we're in there. But base 120 HP, 120 defense, and 130 SPDF, get out. This thing is like a crazy wall. And it has Levitate, so, you know, it can't really take care of, or it can't really necessarily take advantage of grassy terrain that Bulu can set up, but it is a pretty solid switch in from having Darm or Nihilego on the field. So I felt like Cresselia paired really well with those two, and I was very, very pleased to have been able to have picked it up. We've actually got a lot of ground immunities now that I'm looking at it. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ground immunities. Holy cow. Alright, well. So much for that grassy terrain boost, am I right? Listen, Cresselia does Cresselia things. I'm sure you guys know how gross it is. Whether it across any platform, Cresselia is just a good get, and I'm glad that we were able to pick it up. It can do a lot of different things. It can Z-move. We got Icy Wind for speed control. There's a lot that Cresselia can do. So I'm happy that I picked up such a bulky, tanky, versatile mon that is a pain in the butt to deal with. Speaking of things being a pain in the butt to deal with, Blissey. So if you guys saw the live draft, then you know, or the live stream draft rather, you know that I ended up getting these two in a wheel pick, kind of a wheel pick. I went Cresselia, and then I immediately went Blissey because of, like, what's grosser than dealing with Cresselia? Dealing with Cresselia and Blissey. So I don't know how we pulled that off, but oh my goodness. That is some bulk. I mean, Blissey is not a physical tank. Not really meant to do that. But the special defensive side of Blissey is gross, man. Blissey does Blissey things. I'm sure you know. I would have maybe preferred to have had a Chansey. I didn't want to spend the money on Chansey. Blissey was a little bit cheaper. I believe. I think. Maybe. I think Chansey was tier 2. I think Blissey was tier 3. So we managed to snag a pretty solid defensive core in Cresselia and Blissey. It's gross, man. It's gross. And Blissey and Cresselia pair pretty well, to be honest. I mean, Blissey is immune to ghost attacks. Cresselia is weak to ghost attacks. Cresselia resists fighting. Blissey is, gonna get bodied by pretty much any fighting move. So it's nice that we have those two paired. And I mean, Blissey pairs relatively well with the rest of the team too. I can't fault Blissey. Blissey and Cresselia together are going to be gross. I'm glad that I have a comfortable defensive core, and I'm really looking forward to using Blissey. I've never used Blissey. I've never really used Chansey. It's definitely going to be interesting, for sure. And again, like I wanted my defensive core to have reliable recovery, and obviously Blissey has soft boiled, Cresselia has Moonlight, so that was a big part. I wanted a good solid defensive core, and I think we were able to snag that with Cresselia and Blissey. Coming up near the end here, we have Gyarados. Gyarados was a late game pick for me. Let me actually see when we got Gyarados. Gyarados was picked, what were you? You were picked 167 overall. So Gyarados lasted a pretty long time in the draft. Gyarados is gross, man. Gyarados can do a lot of different stuff. Great Z-move user, great setup mon. Its stats are pretty fantastic, I would say. I'm very excited to use Gyarados, man. I'm surprised it lasted this long. Everybody else tried to pick up their Watermon ahead of time, I guess. I knew there were a couple water types that I was interested in trying to get. I usually try and go for a bulkier water type. But, you know, offensive water is still pretty solid. So I'm glad that we were able to get Gyarados. It was a solid water type pick. It was a solid offensive pick. And I feel like it fits the tone of the team pretty well. Given that we have big offensive hitters like Darmanitan, Nihilego, Vikavolt, Bulu, and now we have Gyarados too. So if we're able to like set up a Dragon Dance, we get that speed boost, we get that attack boost, boom. Another potential late game sweeper in Gyarados is what I wanted. If I couldn't get the bulky water type, so everything kind of worked out well. I feel like I said, with our defensive core, with Cresselia and Blissey, we can kind of take on most things. We didn't necessarily need a bulky water type at that point. There weren't really any good options left, in my opinion. So, offensive water is definitely a way to roll. It's definitely one way to go. And something that pairs really well with Gyarados is Rhyperior. I think a lot of people sleep on Rhyperior. I'm a big fan. You can see his stat distribution there: 115 HP, 140 attack, 130 defense. He has the ability Solid Rock, which weakens super effective attacks just a bit, so he can stick around and live a little bit more. More beneficially, he can take advantage of grassy terrain with some HP. It's going to hurt us with earthquakes. It's going to hurt us, obviously, if our opponent can take advantage of terrain and hit us with a grass attack. That would not be great. But overall, like, Rhyperior, he's got a lot of physical defense. He's got a lot of physical offense. He's kind of like the opposite of Nihilego. If we bump back to Nihilego real quick, you can see that the stats are kind of flipped a little bit. Rhyperior is very top heavy. Nihilego is very bottom heavy, which I'm okay with. So I mean, rock and ground, and it's just overall it's good, man. It's good. I'm happy with it. We get some speed control options. There are some fun sets that you can pull off with Rhyperior, and he works pretty well with Gyarados too. So I wanted another slower mon. I wanted another bulkier mon. Rhyperior might have that potential with stuff like an Assault Vest or things like that. So overall, I'm pretty pleased. Rhyperior fit the team pretty well. That was one that I was glad I was able to get. Overall, like, I didn't really get sniped on anything except my Dark type. I tried going for a Alolan Persian earlier. I tried going for what was it? I tried getting Malamar at one point. Like, there were so many Dark types I had my eyes on, and by the time I finally got to pick, it wasn't available. And I felt like another pick was more pertinent, so I ended up going with that instead. So I guess if I gained the option to get the vast majority of picks I wanted, in that I had to kind of, for lack of a better phrase, settle on Murkrow, then I guess I'm happy with it, you know? But hey, it is what it is. This is your Tapu Koko Puffs team for Season 4 of the NPA. In the comments, let me know if you guys are hyped. Let me know what you think of the team. We'll have games starting, I believe, next week. So we're off to a roll already. Gonna be exciting. I know who our week 1 opponent is, and I'm not looking forward to it. So that should be interesting, to say the least. But hey, we'll do our best. The nice thing about being the underdog or the rookie is that no one has high expectations of you. So if we do really well, people are like, oh, hey, that's cool. And if we do really poorly, it's like, well, kind of saw it coming. Either way, I'm fine with it. I'm just here to have fun. I'm here to do some cool builds, and I'm looking forward to playing a lot of the people in the NPA, because it's a pretty solid lineup of coaches that we got this season. So I'm pretty excited. Especially Tup. Coming for you, Tup. Just I love you, Tup. Anyway, that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I am Blue, and I will catch you next time doing something somewhere on the internet involving internet type things.